The hardest part of being a girl mom is separating your experience and what you went through from who these little people are. I do have really big fears of her feeling the way I felt or experiencing what I experienced.
I really learned to play this role of compliance and like the good girl and like the easy one. The loneliness, it makes me want to throw up. It really does.
My abandonment trauma made me abandon myself in a lot of situations and do anything to fit in or be accepted. Another big thing for me is teaching her when to recognize she doesn't feel good in a situation.
Even though I was experiencing all this social pressure or all this intimidation or feeling like really insecure about it, I didn't go to anybody with that.
I have complex PTSD. In any situation, my mind is going to go to the worst case scenario.
I'm Evelyn Mendel, and you're listening to Help Them Bloom. Welcome, everyone, to a new episode. I'm here with one of my favorites, Michelle Dempsey-Multack. She is a divorce coach, a best-selling author, Moms Moving On, and a little bestie of mine. So we've definitely been here before. We've done plenty of things together. We're doing life together. We're raising girls together. And this is kind of what we wanted to talk about today. So I the other day I wrote her and I was like, Mish, why don't you jump on? We usually talk about like co-parenting and divorce and life after divorce and all this. But I'm like, nope, let's just talk about what it's like to raise girls. Our girls are 10 and a half. Just thinking about this world that they're growing up in. We're in the thick of it. There's a lot happening. It's very fast moving, both for them and for us. And I wanted to just kind of chat about that with you.
I'm never not scared. That could be the whole episode right there. No, listen, I think you and I had very different upbringings, but we have very similar trajectories now. And I think for me, regardless of the trauma that I experienced as a child, raising a child in today's world, today's society, with the access to the internet and the brutality of this world is scary enough. But then I personally am tasked with this kind of, I don't know if it's a burden of really trying to do differently than was done for her, to the point where I find myself over functioning. And get these, like, once in a while, get these glimpses of like, oh my God, she's not me. She's not having my experience. I can pull back a little bit. So then I do, but then I'm like, the world is still so scary and I'm so scared. You know, there was a post yesterday that was like, can you stop telling tween moms to just wait? Because we're complaining about how the tween part has gotten hard and different than what we were used to when they were like little kids. And then everyone's like, oh, you just wait till middle school.
Oh, yeah.
I know what's coming. I have an 18-year-old stepdaughter. I'm scared enough for like school to start next month. So I think it is a very, very difficult but brutal, I hate using that word because of who coined the term, but it is a brutal and beautiful experience at the same time.
This is something we do since they're born. Because do you remember, like, is your child sleeping through the night? Just wait till they're toddlers. Just wait. This like fear, just wait thing is like, it's just something we do forever.
Your ass. Because now we're really in a place where we know things are about to get hard.
Yeah.
We know that.
What do you think, Mish, what do you think is so, there's obvious things, but what do you think is so different about like childhood now versus when we were kids? Because you know those memes that I like die, where it's like me as a 12-year-old and you're all like kind of dorky and like you're like dressed so differently and you're like eating different snacks and your life is so different than now.
Yeah, like, and I think that's one thing. I think it's exposure to things. I mean, I remember growing up, my mom, like you, a very strict Colombian mother. I was not allowed. I couldn't even sneak it because I was terrified. I was not allowed to watch MTV.
That was
probably
like
till high school.
The devil.
Okay, the devil. And that was it. That was the one thing I wasn't allowed to watch, right? Like I couldn't access like porn on Cinemax or whatever it was because we didn't have that channel. There was no internet where I could go look things up. And now our kids are not just like, there's not just the internet. There's 8,000 different networks and shows and things, and kids who are allowed to access it that they're friends with, and then kids who aren't allowed. And so it's just this like influx of too much. And it's so contradictory to all the work that I do, which is like your kids can only handle age appropriate truths or age appropriate situations when it comes to divorce. And now like, my 9-year-old is putting on skincare that's more expensive than mine. It's like, it's just this clusterfuck of too much, I think it is what
What's your feeling about that?
Okay, so on one hand, I like that my daughter is not fighting me on washing her face and brushing her teeth, right? Because there is this pull towards, all I've ever wanted her to do was actually wash her face before bed and put on some sunscreen in the morning. We live in Miami. It's gone to, so I'll tell you, this is funny. I'm a very much I'm sorry for my language, but I'm a fuck around and find out kind of mom. Right. So it was the morning of her 9th birthday. She had all her friends sleep over, and there was one girl who came with literally like a suitcase of skincare. At that point, that wasn't on the radar, right? It was just like the Sol de Janeiro spray. And that morning, she's like, Mommy, I got to go to Sephora and get skincare. I said, Oh, yeah. What do you want to get? What do you need? And Jolie, my older one, who's, about to graduate, who just graduated high school, was like, Bella, you don't need it. Like, I bought all this stuff. I thought it was so cool. You can have mine, right? So she gets hundreds of dollars worth of all these brands from Sephora. She was so excited. She set it up. She didn't use it because she just wanted to say she had it, right? Yeah. So then the next week we go to Sephora. She wanted to belong. We go to Sephora, and the lady there was like another tween looking for stuff. And I said, let her get what she wants. Let her get what she wants. I let her buy what she wanted. She put something on. I said, do you know what that's for? No. Her skin started to burn. Do you know she wanted mascara? Okay. Her eyes were itchy. So we realized very quickly that, yeah, it's really cool to have this stuff, but you can't use it. So that's how I kind of got her from wanting to go buy it just because everybody had it to realizing it wasn't good for her skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
But part of me does think it's important. I don't want to be the mom that I had, frankly, that was so forceful in like making me focus on my appearance. I like that she is naturally just trying to care for herself.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that. There's a part of that that's like the hygiene, the caring about your body. It's interesting because we have different experiences in this, right? Like our girls get together and they're like the silliest, most just innocent, like beautiful friendship. They're their wildest selves. But in this realm, my daughter is actually the opposite extreme where she was like, I'm just like she'll describe herself as not one of those Sephora girls. That's her description of herself. And it's really interesting because it triggers in me. On one hand, I am happy that she's not just falling into like whatever's trendy, right? And that she's not growing up too quickly. And on the other hand, it triggers for me this like me growing up with this feeling of like, I need to belong and fit in. I need to like keep up with whatever everybody's doing. And it's like, she doesn't have that, which I'm very proud of, but I'm not going to tell you that it doesn't just kind of move stuff around in me, right? These girls are doing these things at birthday parties and get-togethers, and Liv is outside playing basketball, even if it's by herself. Like she's like all about basketball, which I cannot relate to at all. So I feel like, for some moms, this is sort of like a bonding thing with their daughters, right? It's like, we're going to go and we're going to do these.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have Bella, like I've taken her to the dermatologist for unrelated stuff, but then for the dermatologist to say like, the packages are so pretty and it's so fun that like, Sephora has all these things, but like, here's what you can actually use on your skin. And it's like 2 products. And then Bella takes that seriously. And what I found for her is I have that thing too, because I very much didn't feel like I belonged as a kid. So I want her to fit in. And there was a part of me that was like, cool, like you're doing the cool thing. But like certain things, like I'll be like, but babe, everyone's like getting this for camp. And she's like, I don't care. I don't like it.
Exactly.
So I love that about her.
I know. But for us, it brings up our own little wounds, right? Where we're like, well, what are you going to feel like when everyone's doing it and you're not? Which is, it's amazing that they don't need that. They don't need that approval from everybody else.
Well, I'll say hands down, the hardest part of being a girl mom is separating your experience and what you went through or what you might have felt from who these little people are, and my therapist helps me with that a lot because I do have really big fears of her feeling the way I felt or experiencing what I experienced in my own parents' divorce. And my therapist just keeps reminding me that Bella has something that I didn't have, which is me.
You.
As a mom. Right. But I do have to actively separate myself. Like, it's so stupid. But even now, she's at sleepaway camp having the time of her life. I haven't even heard from her. She doesn't care about me. Every picture, she looks like queen of the camp. And there's a couple of her girlfriends that didn't go to camp. And I saw a picture the other day. They were all together. And I'm like, Bella was left out. It's me. It's me. Like that for me, it's the left out thing.
Yeah.
And Bella's so cool about it. Like, she doesn't care. Like, she'll be like, oh, yeah, Naomi and Talia had a sleepover. And I'm like, were you sad?
That would have been like what the rejection piece, right? But it's amazing that they don't feel that. Like, we have to be so proud of them. But you're right. It's the removing our stuff from their stuff.
That's the hardest part for me, day in and day out.
For me, we're entering a new territory for sure. We're entering a new territory with these ages and with everything we have going on, all the exposure to stuff, as you said. For me, and I want to share this story that maybe you have seen that I just posted or not, but for me, I think that the thing I hang on to the most is that she knows she can come to me and for her not to feel alone. Like that for me, like if I, now that I'm doing like my own stuff, my own healing, my own journey, my own stuff, this theme of loneliness, being alone in my experience forever and ever, never having gone to anybody, not even friends, not even my mom, nobody, but just carrying the questions, the fears, the concerns, all of that just lived within me. And I would have rather just sat there in, I don't know what's going to happen. I guess I'll just figure it out rather than go to somebody, right? Like the fear of going to somebody was overwhelming. I didn't feel like there was the room for that created in my home or in my peers, or I don't know. It was cultural, it was environmental, it was a lot of stuff. But for me, all the work that I feel like I've done without even knowing, because I've done this from just what I've known from my own clinical experience, right? But this isn't what I grew up with. It's counterintuitive almost for me. The work that I've done is to really set the foundation for her to know she can come to me. And that for me is like everything. The other day, I don't know if you had seen or not, I posted about this, but she wrote me. She's in Curacao with her dad. And
I saw that.
Literally, this was my moment where I was like, I'm
doing it right.
A good job. Yes. She's in Curacao with her dad and she writes me, she knows what a period is. She actually found out, not in this like, you would think like, parent coach, how did you do it? Actually, we were in a restaurant in New York and she saw me pull out a tampon and blood everywhere. And she's like, what is that? And she was 6 and it was like very rushed, but we had like continuous conversations over the years. So she knows what it is. But this was her first time, I guess, interacting with a friend who has gotten it. So coming from a child or a friend or a preteen, whatever, it feels very different than when an adult speaks to you about it, right? So the friend was all like intense about it and telling her about the pain and the blood and this. And so she wrote me a text message saying, this person was talking about their period and I know they were talking to their mom about it and I'm feeling scared. Can we talk about it tomorrow? And that for me was gold, like that moment. And I know you know what I feel like, because
that is the part where I do overfunction, because I think you and I share that same experience of loneliness. I had to process all of my trauma on my own. I was talking about this in something I posted yesterday about how had somebody just asked me, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
Like I experienced abuse. I experienced my parents' infidelity. I experienced knowing too much. I experienced more than any little child should have experienced. And it was, and like, even for a regular kid who doesn't experience that, to say, hey, did that thing bother you or something worrying you? I never had that. So I went through what I went through, and culturally, like you, it had to be like, we're fine. Everything's good. We don't talk about what happened. We do not talk about what happened. We take that shit to the grave. I was told, you do not tell any of your friends, mommy and daddy are getting a divorce. So that to me in my 8-year-old brain was, can't talk about it to them. My mom probably doesn't want to talk about it, so I can't bring it up to anybody. So I internalized everything. So where I overfunction is I keep saying overfunction like it's a bad thing, but where I put all of my energy on and focus with Bella is in, you can tell me anything.
Yeah.
You're not in trouble.
Yeah.
All feelings are welcome. Own your feelings, own your body, to the point where I want her to say, Mom, leave me alone for 10 minutes. I don't want to talk about anything. I just need downtime. Like she knows herself in that way. I finally got an email from camp, because I had this vision now that camp has email that I'd hear from her every day. I do not. I got one that was like, oh my God, the camping trip was horrible. I can't wait to tell you about it at intercession. And I'm like, she knows, like if she did something bad or she got in trouble or somebody was a bitch to her. I was embarrassed to come to my mom and say, I felt left out at school today, or so-and-so bullied me. I never took that to anybody.
I didn't either. And it wasn't because I just think the groundwork was never laid, but also I didn't want to burden anybody. That really was what it was for me. I just felt like I really learned to play this role of just compliance and like the good girl and like the easy one, So a lot of it was just how I was programmed, basically. based on what
Yeah,
was
and
going on.
it's not like a conscious, I don't wanna
Mhm.
burden anybody. It's just this, like,
For
subconscious
sure.
vibe of, like,
That's how you're
for me, it was
belonging in
always
your
like, "Oh, you're
family.
fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
your dad hurt you and wants nothing to do with you? Oh, forget him. He's terrible." It was never like, "How do you feel
Yeah.
about that?"
Yeah.
And so I just learned to at that loneliness piece, I can
The
feel it.
loneliness, it makes me wanna throw up. It
Me
really
too.
does.
Sitting in my bedroom thinking, like, there's this whole big, beautiful world out there that I'd never have access to because I wouldn't even know how.
Yeah.
And there was one time in my high school experience where I came to my mom and I remember saying to her, and she got so mad at me. I was like, "I wish I could tell you things."
Hmm.
Because like my friends would tell their moms who they kissed, what they did. And it was like,
What did she say to that? Do you think she had awareness of what you meant?
no, 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 no. I
No.
think it was more like a response that made me feel bad for even saying that. I don't remember
Right.
specifically, but like, now with my stepdaughter who's 18, tells us everything.
Everything.
And certain things like she's not comfortable telling Spencer, my husband, but she'll tell
I will
me,
tell you.
and her
Yeah.
mom knows it all. Like her mom, like it's because we've created this environment of like openness is what we expect. You're not in trouble. We'd rather you let us know than not.
Yeah.
We've got your back if something goes wrong.
Yeah. There's this post that I saw the other day that was like some dad sharing like what he had told his kids, which was basically like no questions asked policy. Like if you
Yeah.
need something, 3 a.m., whatever it is, like it's this notion that we need our kids to know that like their fear of getting in trouble should never be the reason they don't come to us, right? Like, and I know that we got to break through that feeling of how we were parented,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Into just, we want to preserve this connection so badly that I am your safety. Like you can come
Right.
to me.
And the other part of that I'm really working on with Bella, because my whole thing, my abandonment trauma made me abandon myself in a lot of situations and do anything to fit in or
Yeah,
be
same.
accepted. Right. So that's a big fear I have for her. So another big thing for me is teaching her when to recognize she doesn't feel good in a situation.
Yeah.
So we have a safe word
I
where
love that.
if she's at a sleepover or she's somewhere, you know, before she had a device of her own, she would use the mom's phone and just say the code word. And I was on my way. Like there was no questions asked. She was at a sleepover one night. Oh my God. 1 a.m. I get a call and she's whispering.
The code.
The code word is Sephora, ironically. She's like, "Mommy, Sephora." I was like, "I'm on my way." And I'm not even going to ask. Like, just I'm there.
Yeah.
And ownership of her own needs is really important to me.
Yeah.
Because I never want her, I say to her all the time, your job isn't to make me happy. Your job is to be you.
Yeah.
And be honest with me. There's nothing you can tell me that's going to make me love you less.
Yeah.
If you tell me, "Mommy, go away. Mommy, I'm mad at you," we work through it.
I want to take a quick break from this episode to share more about my services offered at Hatch and Bloom. Whether you're seeking personalized one-on-one guidance or insightful group learning, we have the right support for you. Our private sessions provide you with the tools and strategies needed to support your child's growth. So take the next step in nurturing your child's potential and book a session with me today. Please visit hatchandbloom.co. That's .co. Or you can email me at evelyn@hatchandbloom.co. Now back to the episode. The other night, it was like a couple of weeks ago actually, that Liv had like 2 or 3 nights where she couldn't sleep, and that never has happened to her. Like she's a really good sleeper. She would come into my room and be like, "I can't sleep." So I would like lay with her, but it was like 2 or 3 nights in a row where for me, this felt like a red flag. I'm like, there's a trigger here, like something's happening. So I sat with her in the morning. She looked at me like I had 5 heads because I was like, "Livy, what's on your mind? Is something happening at school? Is something happening with me? Is something happening with your dad? Like what is happening that is interfering in your sleep?" And she was just like so confused. Like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "I don't know. Sometimes when something's happening, right, it consumes our mind. We can't sleep. We're feeling anxious. We're feeling nervous." And it was nothing. It was really just her sleep. But for me, that was like, I need to know what's happening. It's this feeling of like, I really don't want her to feel that she has to keep anything to herself.
Yeah.
Even though we know that now that they're kind of getting older, it's developmentally appropriate for them to want to keep some things private. And I think that's the part where we have to.
Well, yeah, that's the part where, and also we have to realize that not everything is a thing. Like not every upset is
Her not sleeping is her not sleeping.
Right. Like for me, with this, my biggest, like the cloud over my head every day is like, what is she going to be messed up from in adulthood because of her experience with me? Because I got to adulthood with so many issues. And I have to remind myself that like saying no to her or not being there when she needs me every minute of every day is not going to equal like an end result of like trauma or failure,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's a big thing too. It's hard to be a kid in this age, in this day and age, but it's really hard to be a parent
Yeah.
also because of this influx of,
Yeah.
social media. You go
Yeah.
on social media for 5 minutes, you feel like a bad mom,
Like
you
you're
feel like a
traumatizing your
helicopter
kids.
mom, you
Yeah.
feel like you're doing something wrong, you're
Yeah.
not doing enough. So and so's having a better backyard party for their kids than you are. It's a lot. It's a lot on us,
Yeah.
and the pressure is real.
It's so true. So it's not just hard for them to grow up in this. It's hard for us to parent them in this era as well, And the thing is, Mish, like they are all going to need to heal from something. That's just part of humanness. Like that, this is what I've realized. Like a lot of the stuff that I'm healing from in the grand scheme of life, like some of them are really not that big, and it was no one's fault. And it was just the way that I perceived some situation in that moment because of how I was wired. Right. So like we can't shelter them from this. Like this is just life, and knowing that they are going to need to heal from something, but also having really good tools to heal is actually, I think, the better way of like setting them up. They know they can come to us, and they know that their feelings are real, and they know that they get to assert themselves and set boundaries and respect their needs, but also know that they're going to fall. They're going to fall, and they're going to need to figure out how to get back up. That part's also hard, right? Like not to rescue.
Well, this is where I'm glad you bring this up, because your story about living, not sleeping those nights is making me think of, so last year I sent Bella to sleepaway camp for the first time. She went for 3 weeks. I had a horrendous sleepaway camp experience because I didn't have the tools. I had a lot of anxiety that nobody knew about. I was really mentally a mess emotionally. And so I didn't last. I had to be picked up from sleepaway camp. I sent her, and it was like, the saying that when your child gets to the age where you were the most traumatized, it has this thing, right? So I spent 3 weeks on my couch, unable to I couldn't even have conversations with my husband. I was just racked with this fear, the same thing I felt as a kid all those years ago. And, I'm always very protective of her because of my divorce from her dad and the discrepancies in household. She lives 2 totally separate lives with the 2 of us. And so I've had this thing of like, I have to overprotect and really plug into her feelings so she can navigate this life. She was so okay that she came back and was like, I want to go for full summer. And now she's there now for the full summer, not just 3 weeks, 7 weeks.
I know.
I've barely heard from her. She's happier in these pictures than I've ever seen her in her life. And what's interesting is in the weeks leading up to camp, I was losing my mind. Ev, I couldn't even go to the bathroom. She had to be there with me. I'd be in the shower and she'd want to hang out in the bathroom. Wow. She was like Velcro. And I'm like, something's wrong. She's not okay. I must be doing something wrong because she feels she needs so much more of me. But I don't know what it is because now she's at camp and like won't write back to me. And she's so happy. And so I feel like all these fears that we carry, sometimes things just are. Sometimes, you know what? She just wanted to be with me more than not.
I think she was like filling herself up with you before she left.
I agree. I agree because for her, Spencer was like, it's so crazy how she was like, literally, she had to sleep in bed with me before she left for camp for a couple of nights, to not even needing to talk to me. Like he's like, it just goes to show you how resilient and strong she is. She's independent. She's probably leading the charge at camp right now because she knows she's got mom, she's got dad, she's got parents who love her. She's got a great place to come back to. So she's just soaking it up right now.
She's a great home base. And the thing too is like, that's awesome about that story is she also knows what she needs, right? Like, so this is how she filled up. It's almost like I think of it as a gas tank, right? Like this is her putting gas in her tank to then like be able to last the next 7 weeks. That's how I would read it. Be like,
but then I'm taking this as like, oh my God, she's so sick of me. I do too much. She just needs a break from
with
me.
her distance now, you're taking it the other way.
Of course. No, but I also see this as, and I've been talking about this a lot. If a co-parented kid who has a healthy co-parented experience, it's still hard to live this double life, right? So the idea that she can be somewhere and wake up in the same bed for 7 weeks every day, not have to wake up and think, who do I have to be today in this house? Or where am I sleeping tonight?
Yeah.
God, what a relief that must be for her. I'm so happy for her.
Yeah, that's true. That creates a consistency. Even though you guys have consistency, it's even more of a consistent pattern.
Right. And she said to me, She said, Mommy, the first 2 nights I miss you so much. I cry a little before bed, but then I realize that I'm at camp and I really just want to enjoy it,
I
and
love sleepaway camp for kids. Like, I know everybody has different experiences. My husband had a traumatizing experience. And so he was like, we are not sending our kids to sleepaway camp. And I'm like, that's something that we're going to decide based on who they are. Right. But for him, it was that. It was like he was so miserable, but also no one believed him. Like, he would write letters to his parents and they would just, I guess, like, take it very lightly, but he was really serious and like
yeah.
finding ways to get home. He was like, I'll go to New York. I'll like trying to figure out
Well, that's
escape
why they
plans.
kicked me out. I was like, I know the way home. I'm leaving in the middle of the night. I'll see you soon. Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
but I had different stuff going on. But the idea, so this is what shows me also that I might be doing more right than wrong, is
Well, you
that
are. We all know this.
she's able to thrive in a
Yeah.
difficult situation
Yeah.
where normally I pick her up from school, we air things out, whatever pissed her off, whatever she's struggling with. Like, I walk her through every feeling of life, and now she doesn't need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And good for her.
Yeah. I love this. Like a little microscopic moment of this, a micro moment of this was I took Liv to one of my workout, I'm an
Yes, I
avid
love that.
PT class. And there was one, so they started a kids class, but there was a trial. And during that trial class, she experienced her first cramp while working out. She was like, what is this? I have a pain from running. And I was like, that's a cramp. Like, you drank too much water. Like, you're okay. Just sit down. But the whole time she was like, can we go home? Can we go home? Like, I hate this. Can we go home? Can we go home? And I was literally avoiding eye contact with her for the whole class because I was like, nope, like, you can finish it. I know you can do it. And don't think she was really mad at me. She was really mad at me. Why didn't we leave? Like, that was so hard. I'm never coming again. She just registered for like the 10 pack and has gone every week, has brought all her friends and is thriving. And so don't think that moment where I was like, am I doing the right thing? Because sometimes you don't know how hard to push, right?
Right.
But we also don't want to just shelter. Like, we want them to know that they can handle hard things.
Well, ever since Bella's camp experience last summer, because I was very much like, okay, you don't like it, you don't want to. It showed me that like I can push a little harder, and I have been, and I don't put like unreasonable expectations on her, but when she was nervous to try out for dance team, okay, so what happens? They say no. Does that change who you are? No. Does it make me mad at you? No. You try. Yeah. And with that mindset, she was willing to try again, but I was never going to say to her, oh, if you're scared, don't do it. I won't do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't either. And we do that exercise too. We do the like worst case scenario. Like, what's the worst
That's my
that could
whole
happen?
life. Well, because I have to do it for myself.
Me too.
Unfortunately.
Taking risks feels hard, right? Yeah.
Well, I have complex PTSD. So naturally, in any situation, my mind is going to go to the worst case scenario. And so what I've had to do for myself in these moments is walk it back. Okay, if that worst thing does happen, how can I handle it?
And what?
How will I still function? How will I still be okay? What tools do I have? What support do I have? Literally, I have to do this with myself 100 times a day. Yeah. And I do it with her.
That's so helpful.
Tell me what you think. If you didn't make the team, what would happen? Yeah. And she said, you'd be mad at me. And I'm like,
wow, but that's amazing that she could share that. That's such a misconception.
Well, I said, so I said, that's a fair statement, but when was the last time I got mad at you for not doing something like right? She was like, okay, well, maybe I would just be embarrassed. I'm like, fair.
Okay. Fair. And then you walk through that. That's a really hard feeling, especially at this age. It's a really hard feeling. But then being able to, like, I love this when I give my talk on resilience. I talk about, and I forgot his name. There's this psychologist who came up with a list of things that he thinks like every kid should go through, and like there are things that most parents would be horrified at hearing. Right? So it's like being left out, like finding out your friends do fun things without you, like he's studying so hard and still failing, getting picked last on a team, like not getting invited, like heartbroken, like all this stuff that, again, parents nowadays would be like, oh my God, no. But
yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. This just reminds me of, keep going.
Because what he says is, how can we teach our kids to cope if they've never had to cope? Like, it really is that.
Bella did not get invited to a birthday party. It was towards the end of the school year, a camp friend, and all of her friends from camp were invited, but her. And she was so upset. And I'm like, babe, you know why you weren't invited? She was like, she hadn't invited her to her own party. And it's kind of like in this stage that they're in, you don't invite the whole class. You kind of just invite who invited you, right? So she was upset. And then she was like, okay, all right. listen, it's on me, and she sat with those feelings. And, I'm like, is there something you want to do, because you're upset that you're not going? She's like, no, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she felt the sting of rejection. And she dealt with that a lot at school this year too, of like feeling so-and-so was talking to her and not me. And she made a face at me. And we're like, okay, so what do we do in those moments? Do
Yeah.
we just like not go to school?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Do we?
It's how do we cope with these things? And the thing
It's
is
so
too, like,
ironic because I didn't know how to cope with those things.
no, I know. I know, and the thing is, like, sometimes they're not going to get invited because not everybody likes them. And that's the other part. I tell
That
Liv
part
this all the time.
sucks.
That part is hard, but it's true. That's a part I don't know how to do that yet. I'm learning, right? I'm learning that there's people in the world that do not like me. I have a hard time swallowing that, right? In the people pleasing world, that's very, very tough, but it's a reality, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody has to like you. Not everybody's going to like you. And when you can like free yourself of that, it's so, so freeing because you don't have to be performative for everybody.
Well, I share those examples with Bella, like I have had situations, as you know, with friends where I've been really badly hurt as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've shared, like, I share that with her as a way to show her, yes, it hurt. Yes, I got through it. Here's what I look out for when I'm choosing to be friends with somebody. You know what I mean?
And
so
that's
like,
so important in this age for them. Like,
and I also share with her because a lot of people in public will stop me and say, oh, I follow you. I love you, this and that. I also share with her the dark side of my influencer experience, which is all the negative comments I get from,
right. Like of exposing yourself. Yeah.
You're ugly, you're dumb, you're whatever. And I share that with her and she's like, and you're not upset? And I'm like, I mean, I'm human. I don't like to read it, but like, it just goes to show you that one person can think I'm amazing. Another person thinks I'm terrible. And you know what? It doesn't change anything.
And none of those define you, right? Like that's kind of the stage they're at. So I love this, like, screening friendships and environments and where do you feel your best and yourself. Like, yourself is the most important, right? And where do you feel like you have to kind of put on a show to be around these people? Because that's, again, I suffered so badly with that that I would love for that to be a lesson for her.
Yeah, I worry so much about her confidence because I didn't have any, but like I see how much she has. And I'm like, girl, if I always say to her, I'm like, if I was half of what you are as a kid, I would have been fine.
I know.
I just love it for her. And I know, yes, I know, just wait, it's going to get harder. But I think that we're laying a good foundation. We know what to expect. We know how we felt. We know what to do differently. And we're not going to do it perfectly, but at least we're aware enough.
Yeah.
There's so many parents who don't have the awareness.
Yeah. Okay. I want to switch gears. I want to ask one more topic, which is, this one's a tough one for everyone, I think, but can we talk about body image and these girls?
I just did a podcast on this with Tali Berliner. She's a psychologist and she works specifically with girls with eating disorders and boys. There's a lot of boys with eating disorders now. And our topic was very much related to the high prevalence of these things in children of divorce because it's a control thing. So this is another, I'm like rife with issues, but I was one of the co-parented or children of divorce who used an eating disorder to make myself feel better and feel like I had control. So this is another really big thing I see or I worry about with my daughter because I grew up in a home where by the time I was 8, I had to watch what I ate and my arms were too big for a tank top. And I was told to never put my hair in a ponytail because whatever. And so I've really overcompensated there a little bit too much in like allowing, I mean, maybe I'm not over it, but I allow all foods. I have a lot of anxiety about it as her body started to change. I'm like, oh my God, am I letting her
like your own stuff?
Yeah,
right?
It's my own stuff.
She's confident in her body.
She's confident. And I think the long and short of body image for kids is if they don't feel like you think they look okay, nothing will ever make them feel like they look okay.
You know what's so crazy? So Livy is, she's starting to go through puberty and she's having some breakouts and she's unfazed by them. But for me, I had like the worst acne of life. Like I still remember mom calling me like a corn. I looked like a corn cop, like just a corn. I did though. It was horrifying. Like it really was. I have so much trauma from that. So she's having little breakouts. And the other day I was dropping her off at her dad's and she had like one like around here or something. And I was like pointing at her, like I was trying to get her dad's attention and going like that. And she looks at me, she's like, I'm right here. I was like, I know, baby. And she was like, she looked at the mirror and she goes, I kind of like the ones on my forehead. Like, I think they look really cool. And I was like, okay, well, that's all that matters. But it's to your point, right? She had her own perception of this, like, and it's not bad, right?
Oh, yeah, no. I've gone so hard on body positivity and body acceptance and how all bodies are beautiful that like Bella came home from school one day, was like, Mom, I feel really bad for so and so. I'm like, why? What happened? And she's like, she's really skinny. And I'm like, yeah, that's really sad. Pobrecita. She's like,
It's
yeah, I
not
don't
how we grew
know.
up.
Maybe she doesn't have a lot of good food at home. I'm like, maybe not.
Yeah, not the culture we grew up in.
No, but that is an indication of I'm not making her feel the way I was
Yeah,
made.
that's amazing. And you know, the thing is, like, in my house, like, my mom never made me feel that way about food or diets or anything. For me, it all came from social pressure, all of it. It
Oh,
all
see,
came
none of
from
mine
friends.
did. Not a single person in my life ever called me fat or made me think my body was a problem, except the people in my family.
Interesting. Because we had, again, different experiences, but because I didn't feel like it still wasn't a topic that was talked about in my house, it was just silence, right? So even though I was experiencing all this social pressure or all this intimidation or feeling like really insecure about it, I didn't go to anybody with that. Like, I just sat with that, or I changed my own behaviors, or I felt, bad about myself. So again, just having such open communication about this stuff is key for me.
Yeah, we had.
And our modeling, right? Like, and our modeling is hard because I don't feel perfect in that department. I still struggle with stuff, with body image stuff. Since I was in middle school, I still struggle with it.
Well, it never really goes away. I mean,
it's really tough,
having tried and failed so many times to recover from my own body issues and eating issues. I mean, the idea that it's gone forever is just, it's a fallacy. It's not like something you could take a pill and cure. It is, again, part of my OCD in my 20s was fixated on certain behaviors, routines that if I deviated from, like, it got so bad that, so I would wake up every day and I would put on the same pair of jeans every day. I wouldn't wash them. I wouldn't do anything just to make sure that they fit in the exact same way. And there was one morning they didn't. And I had such a panic attack on the way to work that morning that I called a doctor and I got myself on medication. But it was like, that came from somewhere. And we didn't have social media. Yeah. I wasn't watching MTV. I wasn't allowed. You know what I mean? So that only came from my family connecting my worth to my body size. I would come to Miami from New York to visit my family. And it was like, oh my God, thank God you lost weight. You look so good. Yeah. It was never like, congratulations on doing well in school.
No. Yeah. It was like very physically appearance, like focused,
And so,
and the thing is, we're in that world now, like even more than ever, right? Like, social media, the selfie, like all of this is so like physical appearance, self-focused that.
So I had such I've been so hard on getting Bella to feel confident that I completely overlooked something she was dealing with. And it was such a sad, but powerful moment. I started to notice, this was about a year ago, when her body started to change. She was entering puberty, things got rounder, fuller. Every time we would have to leave the house to go to dance, she would go in her room and come out a different person. She was angry, she was mean, she was slamming the door. She wouldn't talk to me the whole way to dance. And so one day I went in her room and I said, enough, what is going on? And I lost it a little bit. I'm like, you go from, and now like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm trying to help you. You're getting mad at me. And in the car ride over, she goes, Mommy, I want to tell you something. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. We were on the way to dance. And she was like, when I get ready sometimes and I get changed, I look in the mirror and I think, is my tummy too big? And she had never said those words out loud to me because I'm here being like, yeah, girl, you're gorgeous,
Right.
And I was like, whoa. And we pulled into the parking lot of the JCC. I said, don't worry about dance. We're not going to get out of the car until we talk this through and you feel good. And we had a whole conversation about it. She cried a little. She said, I noticed so-and-so's tummy is flatter, but then the other person has a bit like, I don't like the way this leotard looks, but I like the way that leotard looks. And when I can't find it, I get upset. And she wasn't coming to me because she thought that I would be upset that she felt that way. We had the most beautiful conversation that she turned to me after this whole thing. We were still in the parking lot. She's like, Mommy, I feel so much better now. Thank you for letting me tell you that.
God, but that's such a good point, Mish, that sometimes we can be like too positive and perfect in a department where
because
they're like,
I didn't want her to feel this thing. I was doing everything in my power to not let her feel this thing.
Which this is what I mean about they're still going to have shit to heal from. Like, we can't prevent them from having human experiences. Like, they're still going to have human experiences, right? So when we normalize, like, it's great to inject all of this into them, but also normalizing like reality.
Right. And then I share with her, that because she thinks I'm like a gorgeous goddess, bless her soul, that people have put down my body on social media. And she's like, what? And like, I told her about the time that the boy I had a crush on in elementary school told me I was fat when we were in Hebrew school one day. And I said, the thing is that I wasn't. It was just the word that he used that he knew it would upset me. So like how I handled when someone called me that and what it made me feel. And like it opened up the door for a really great conversation that has now been ongoing to the point where I'll say to her when she needs to change for dance or for something, do you need your space? Do you want me involved? Do you want me to compliment you or do you want me to keep my mouth shut? And she tells me what she needs.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And it's going to be ongoing, right? And like they're going to be going through different stages, different ages and stages and different, we remember how hard it is to be a teenage girl. It is brutal.
It's brutal.
It really is.
It's brutal.
There's so much going on developmentally, hormonally, pressure wise, like there's a lot. So like for her to know like what she needs from you or that she can come to you is everything.
Well, this is, again, I think the hardest part is watching them develop into themselves and struggling with what every girl is going to struggle with. Right. And like, this is where for me, especially because I'm still struggling with it, I have to really put on my oxygen mask and look through her lens, not my own.
Not your own. And also what we're modeling now, though, is important, right?
Yeah.
Okay. One more question that I want to leave off with, which is if there's one thing that you hope your daughter can carry with her forever and ever, what would that be?
Knowing that she has the strength and confidence to navigate any situation. I want her to get to adulthood and say, I feel good about who I am.
Yeah.
I can do hard things and that I don't need anyone's approval to do those things.
Yeah. And the thing I would say that I wish for Liv and my little toddler, that it's hard to think about her.
Oh my God, her little bathing suit this morning, I can't.
Is to honestly, to be able to speak up. That is something that I did not have. I did not have that voice. It's to be able to speak up and to be able to say no. Like those are, I really want her to carry that with her. And I'm going to like work so hard to cultivate that. She already has it, but I want it not to break because now is when
it feels like it might break.
Yeah.
But just, I think about how you mentioned the example of Liv not following the other girls and going outside to play basketball. If that's what she wants to do. When you praise her for it and say, I love that you felt like doing what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, but you didn't feel that part of them won't break because we accept them as they are.
As they are.
That's all that matters.
And you know what? She plays basketball after school. She was playing basketball or during school, during recess a lot. But then what was happening is some of the girls would started doing like bedazzling, like jewelry or whatever. And she wanted to keep playing basketball. So she by herself came to me with this realization that like people are starting to drift. So she's like, everybody's kind of starting to do that. And sometimes it's really just me by myself. So this is the hard part because I just want to interject, right? I'm like, okay, well, what is it like for you to be by yourself? And is that something that you want to continue doing? Or because there is this balance where it's like, do you want to like continue hanging out with your friends? And is there a way you can do both things? Or is there a way, right? Because I also don't want her to just isolate herself because that is hard at that age as well, right?
It is, but I do also think there is so much power in that.
Yeah, there is, but I want it to come from her. So I want to be like, what do you need during recess? Like, do you need to play basketball? Is that the most important thing? Do you need time with your friends? Like, what do you need? Right. So like, that's the part that like when we can kind of focus and hone in on like, what is it that they are looking for? That's going to help them stick true to their voice. Right.
Yeah. Bella is the only one in her core group of best friends who doesn't play on a soccer team. A lot of them play together. When the weekend comes and she wants to hang and I'm like, oh, they have a tournament. She's like, all right. I was like, you don't want to do it because all your friends are doing it. She's like, I don't like it. I'm not going to do it.
She used to do it.
Yeah.
And she decided she didn't
like it.
And
the other thing that I loved that she told me like a day or so before she left for camp, I said, you and I are very similar in that we need downtime. And when we're upset about something, we just need space. I'm like, how do you handle that at camp? And she's like, oh, mommy, I do the best thing ever. I'm like, what? She's like, I take my chair. They have these like little folding chairs. And she's like, I go to the lake by myself and I look at the sunset. I'm like, she goes, and then of course everyone finds out where I am and they want to come sit with me. And I'm like, girl, like I just love
May
who
we
she is.
all be like Bella.
She's so cool.
Thank you so much.
Of
I could talk to you
course.
for hours and hours and hours, but love you.
I think we're doing a good job, right? Is that where we're doing a good job.
I do. And again, it's just the fact that they can come to us with this is what gives me peace of mind. I'm like, you're not alone. You're not alone is all I want her to carry, you know?
Yes.
I love you.
Love you. Thank you.
Hey, everyone. It's Evelyn. Thank you so much for tuning in. Your support truly means the world to me. If you're interested in hosting a parenting workshop, I'd love to connect. Whether it's a private session for parents, a school event, or a corporate workshop, I'm here to help bring valuable insights and strategies to your community. Let's chat and make it happen. Please visit hatchandbloom.co. That's .co. Or you can email me at evelyn@hatchandbloom.co. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Help Them Bloom. Please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can follow me on Instagram at hatchandbloomco.